Geez, that feels like it might be a decent one. No, it's really not a giant, but the spinning rod's whipping me. Little SMH worm. That there, I have thrown a shaky head a lot in my life, made a lot of money on it. Caught big ones, small ones, but I've caught a lot of fish on a shaky head of some sort. And this is one of the best ones because it's so buoyant. It stands up on that head. This is the SMH head. It's pretty weedless. We're fishing on a little bit of grass. It comes through the stuff good, but that worm's buoyant, stands up on the bottom. You can see a ton of action, gets a ton of bites. Oh, my drag was too loose. Look how big that was, and that thing just whipped me. That is fun though. Just the versatility of a straight tail worm, just so many places in the country, is amazing. That on a shaky head, here you wouldn't expect to throw a shaky head around this hydrilla, but it still gets bites. You know, you just have to change the style of shaky head you're using. So you can see I'm using a real pointed nose here on this one that comes through the hydrilla, but a straight tail worm on some sort of shaky head is just a fish catcher. We got a purple one on here, but you know, that's because of the watercolor and where we're at. Green pumpkin is definitely my first pick, most places. It just seems to work about everywhere you go, unless the water's really dirty. There's another one. Oh, it's a fast one. You can see that there's a lot of bites to be had. And there's a lot of times that's the only way to get bit. And most of the times it's the best way, just to get bites. I've caught a lot of big ones on a shaky head too, but you just get a lot of bites on it. There's something about a straight tail worm that they have a hard time with. They don't want to let it go by them very often. We're throwing it on 15-pound braid here with a 10-pound leader. Kind of a default setup for me that I throw that a lot. And that braid with a leader is so efficient compared to straight fluorocarbon. The smaller the braid, I think the better. There's definitely a line where you're not start slipping if you get down in like tiny, tiny braid. With that 15-pound, this is a really fine cigar smackdown that just flies off your reel, and the sensitivity. So often you're throwing these lighter weight heads, you want to know when you get a bite, but a lot of times it's hard to catch up to where the fish is actually at because you know this bow from fluorocarbon, and you're trying to realize when it has a bite, and it's oftentimes too late because he's got you around something or so far gone you never really get a hook in him. You know, from a tournament perspective, sometimes a little worm's not the best in a 5-fish tournament. You're just not catching big enough ones. But I don't care how good or how bad you are of an angler, there's going to be times in your year or your season or that day that you need to generate a bite, and this is a really good way to generate a bite. Somebody that's out fun fishing, a great way to get a lot of bites too, but you know, doing it for a living, there's times you don't want to fail, and if you come in with 2 or 3, you have failed. And so many times a shaky head will bail you out. I mean, it just time and time again, it might be the 2 smallest fish in your bag, but you might have 4 pounds more than you would have if you would have kept doing what you're doing. I mean, it's something that gets bites in too many places, and it can turn a really terrible day into at least a mediocre day, if not a really fun day, just catching fish.